Grace and peace, everybody. Grace and peace. Sheila, you said that I don't have any volume? Hold on a second. Let me see. All right, how about now? Can anybody hear me now? Can anybody hear me now? Oh, okay. All right, there we go. There we go. All right, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. All right, grace and peace, everybody. Grace and peace. Grace and peace. Oh, you know, whenever I'm doing my other live stream, right? Or I'm sorry, when I'm doing my live stream and I have other people on the panel, I have to like change my settings up a little bit because I don't want, you know, people to be getting echoes and stuff, because what'll happen is that the input from what they're saying kind of goes back out to y'all, and that's what kind of makes the echo. So a lot of times I always forget to change it back, especially when I'm doing live streams like this. But anyway, thank you guys for showing up. Sheila Mahone, grace and peace, sis. Grace and peace. She is one of my supporters here. Thank you, sis, for being a continued supporter. I'm really appreciative of that. Really appreciative. We also got Cannibal in the house. We also got Sister Michelle up in the house. We have Robert M. We have Sissy. We have Sissy, who was another supporter of the channel. Thank you, sis. Another person who is another supporter of this channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Robert M. We also have Jacob's son up in the house. And look, listen, man, we got another supporter. We got Sister Lakeisha. Wrong button. Sister Lakeisha. Sister Lakeisha. Grace and peace. And listen, welcome to the live stream. The live stream that was supposed to happen last night, but I had to push it to tonight. You know, sorry, y'all. Bruh. You know, but I was pretty busy. Got pretty tired. And I said, you know what? I'll just go ahead and pass this off to tonight. All right. That's one thing that I love about being my own independent person on YouTube, because, you know, I can just put y'all on the back burner whenever I feel like it. You know what I'm saying? So, but I try not to. I try not to. But listen, we're going to kind of get serious in a minute. You guys do see the title of this particular live stream. We're going to touch on the Steve Lawson thing. I know that everyone has made videos. A lot of people have covered it. I'm going to read an article to kind of see if we can garner just a little bit more information over this case, to see what's kind of going on. There's not really much that's been happening with Steve Lawson. Not a lot of information that has come out so far. So this article that I'm going to cover is from the christiannews.com. I'm going to go through that really briefly, because the main topic that I want to get into is that interview that Brother Corey did with Joel Webbon on Christian nationalism. And I think that some serious discussions are being had and need to continue to be had about this whole thing with Christian nationalism. I've covered this for at least the past, I want to say at least the past year and a half, you know, because I think I started hearing about this maybe a little bit before the last G3 conference. Yeah, because the G3 conference last year, I heard about Christian nationalism. And like right before that, just a little bit. And then, you know, they kind of addressed it at the G3. And then John MacArthur addressed it. Voddie Baucham addressed it. And I've covered those on separate live streams. But I think that now, you know, a lot of people are just like, well, wait, well, hold on. Let's, you know, make sure that we're getting our definitions correct. And we want to see what people have to say and how they identify Christian nationalism. And Corey did have Joel Webbon on, and they had a conversation. I was watching it, and there was a particular part that I want to address tonight, and we're going to get into that. All right. Grace and peace, Jason from Dear Woke Christian. Grace and peace, sir. How are you doing tonight? Listen, y'all go and y'all hit up Jason at Dear Woke Christian. All right. Got a lot of great stuff happening over there. He's covering a lot of political stuff. I think he's covering the YSL case. And then I also got Pastor Mike watching from Instagram. Grace and peace, sir. Grace and peace. But yeah, he's covering the he is covering the trial, and I know he gonna be covering that Diddy in a minute. All right, no Diddy, but he gonna be covering Diddy. All right, so y'all make sure y'all want to subscribe to his channel, because I'm pretty sure once that trial pops off, especially if it's televised, Jason is gonna give y'all a play-by-play action of what is happening in real time with the case, so you guys don't have to wait like a week and a half later to start to hear some of the things that's unfolded in the case. You can go over there and get a play-by-play action like what's happening with the the young thug case. All right, but listen, y'all already know what time it is. What time is it, Sister Sheila? It's time to turn this Jeopardy music on, where I'm asking in a live poll: can or should Steve Lawson be restored to ministry? So far, 10% of you say yes, only after a period. 45% of you say no, he's disqualified. 35% of you say it's up to the Lord. And 10% of you say, I just pray for him. All right. So yeah, y'all go ahead and let me know what is up in that live poll. All right. Where do you guys stand? All right, let's go ahead and get into this. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm kind of tired. You know, I just came from the gym not too long ago. So I don't plan on being on here long. And it's a weeknight. And we know that certain people in the chat, I ain't naming no names. They got to get in that bed. All right. Cause they already sleepy. All right. So certain people, this music is for you. So that's why I'm going to try to do my best to make sure that I try to get done with this in a timely manner. All I gotta say, sis, is that a hit dog or holler. That's all I gotta say. A hit dog or holler now. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. Now, see, Sissy, she called Sheila out. All right, bruh. All right, she called Sheila out. Grace and peace, rightly dividing the word. Grace and peace and pillar of grace. Grace and peace. All right, let's go ahead and cover this article that we see here from what is this again? ChristianPost.com. ChristianPost.com. All right, now this came out maybe about 2-3 days ago. It says Dallas pastor Steve Lawson removed from ministry over, quote, inappropriate relationship with the woman. Man. And you know what's so crazy, right? If you guys saw my last live stream, not the one that I did where we had the panel discussion, but the last one where, oh man, what were we talking about? Because I was talking about Joel Osteen. Oh yeah, we were talking about the Roman Catholics, and we were talking about how the Pope was kind of like promoting universalism. And I kind of brought up the clip of where Steve Lawson, right here, where he addressed Joel Osteen when Joel Osteen went to Larry King Live. And, you know, he went on there. Larry King was asking him some questions like, okay, like who's going to make it into heaven? Will Jews make it? Hindus, Muslim, etc., etc. And Joel Osteen kept saying, I don't know. So Steve Lawson turns around and he responded to Joel Osteen. I think that's what kind of made him popular, because he went on Wretched TV, and Wretched TV kind of played that clip. And I remember when that clip was going around, it kind of went viral a little bit, where Steve Lawson was saying that you got a lot of these guys out here that saying that they don't know who's going to make it to heaven. And he slammed his hands on the pulpit, and he was like, give us some men who know the truth. So, you know, that's how I started knowing who Steve Lawson was. But and to be honest, I really haven't. I mean, I've caught some of his sermons, like here and there, but he's not somebody that I really watched a lot. Like for instance, some of the guys that I watch a lot, that Vody Barkham, good man to God. All things Vody. All right, John MacArthur. Ooh. Oh. Now I know some people got beef with Joe MacArthur. All right, y'all. Some of y'all got beef with Joe MacArthur. But and y'all pray for Joe MacArthur too. He's well, I heard that he's okay, but he's having some heart surgery and all of that stuff. So listen, y'all send out a prayer to Joe MacArthur. But anyway, I haven't really watched too much of Steve Lawson stuff, but I've never found any problems with any of his teachings or anything like that I can remember, anything that was like, okay, I think I need to, maybe address this dude, or maybe I need to, be careful about his teachings. I think he's been pretty solid for the most part. But I'm not going to lie, this kind of caught me by surprise. It kind of caught me by surprise. And then at the same time, the whole situation with Tony Evans, I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's just go ahead and get into this article. All right. A Texas pastor known for his fiery preaching and frequent appearances alongside John MacArthur, go ahead and get that B3, has been removed from ministry after an alleged, quote, inappropriate relationship, end quote, with an unidentified woman. Listen, does anyone know what happened, or does anyone have any details about what is going on with Steve Lawson? Like, is this something? I mean, but because inappropriate can mean anything, right? I mean, yeah. But because remember Matt Chandler, right? Because Matt Chandler, he took a step back from ministry for a while because he said that he had kind of got too close with some of his members at the church. And it wasn't it wasn't that it was anything foul to where it was anything sexual, but he just said that he needed to take a step back and take a break because he felt like that he had gotten too familiar with some of the congregants at his church. So I'm wondering if this is one of those cases, or is it something a little bit more extreme where he may have had an affair? Is Steve Lawson married? I'm not sure. I know I've seen him at conferences, but I've never seen him with his wife or anything like that. But I don't think I've ever seen a lot of those guys. Whenever I go to the conferences and stuff, I don't think that I've ever seen any of their spouses. So I don't know if you guys know what that quote unquote inappropriate relationship is. Go ahead and let us know. All right, let's continue. Steve Lawson, the 73-year-old lead preacher at Trinity Bible Church of Dallas and president of One Passion Ministries, informed the church's elders about the relationship, according to a statement released by the church. Quote, the elders have met with Steve and will continue to come alongside him and pray for him with the ultimate goal of his personal repentance, the statement reads. Steve will no longer be compensated by Trinity Bible Church of Dallas, end quote. Quote, in light of this, may we be reminded that we are all sinners and Jesus Christ came into the world to save sinners, and Christ remains the head of his church, which is bigger than any fallen man, the statement adds. Quote, the Lord was building Trinity Bible Church of Dallas well before Steve became our lead preacher, and he will continue to build this church long after Steve Lawson or any other man for that matter. End quote. Okay, so yeah, I'm seeing Lady L. Grace and peace, Lady L. And Shining Rivers. We also got Deneen in the house, and I think it was somebody else. Okay, Manuel. All right, Manuel. Grace and peace, Das Beats. And Gates of Praise. Listen, grace and peace to all of you guys. And yes, I was just about to say that, sis. Y'all go ahead hit that like button. Hit that like button as you guys come in. And it doesn't matter where you guys are watching from, whether it's Rumble, Instagram, Facebook, X, or YouTube. I am live. Yes, I'm live. All right. So go ahead, hit that like button. It helps out with the algorithms on all the platforms. All right. Grace and peace, JT Platano. Is this JP Uncut? Or is this somebody else? All right. All right, with the Vody Bakken picture. I think that might be somebody else. All right, let's continue. Lawson holds a Master of Theology from Dallas Theological Seminary and a Doctor of Ministry from the Reformed Theological Seminary. His information has been removed from the leadership page on the church's website. Ooh. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Dang. Yeah, this got to be something serious. It has to be something serious, especially if they have removed his information from their page. And look who we got up in the house. Man, Sister Tyra Rice, boy, I ain't seen her in like 3 years. She ain't been on the channel in 3 years. Grace and peace. And guess what? I'm going to give her another hand clap because after all of that time, she is still a supporter and a member of this live stream and of this channel, I should say. Yeah, Sissy. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it seems like, it really, really seems like that this is something serious. This is something serious. Listen, Sister Tyra, have you been all right? Because, I mean, I don't think that I've seen you anywhere else either. Have you been all right, sis? Or you just kind of like been taking a sabbatical from like, from like YouTube and social media and all of that stuff? All right, let's get back to this. Lawson also resigned from, quote, all his duties at One Passion Ministries, end quote, according to a statement posted on the One Passion website that describes his action as, quote, a sin that has disqualified him from ministry, end quote. Oh, man. Oh, man. Wow. This is not looking good. This is not looking good. Quote, Steve has confessed and regrets the damage he has caused to his family, the church, the reputation of One Passion Ministries, and most of all, Jesus Christ, the statement read. Quote, we are saddened for the glory of Christ in this matter. The truth of the gospel will continue to go out to the lost as it is empowered by the Holy Spirit and not by men. It is a reminder that we have been warned of the craftiness of the enemy, end quote. Oh, man. Man. All right, JP, watch your language, JP. This is a family show, all right? This is a family show. The statement concluded that with 1 Peter 5:8, be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour. Lawson has dedicated more than 40 years to ministry and is a prominent figure in the Reformed Calvinist evangelicalism movement. And here's the thing. I always warn people about this periodically on my live streams. Don't think because you are of a certain denomination or a certain people group that somehow your denomination or your church or whatever is free from sin and, your pastor can never fall, or the people that you look up to, whether it's on YouTube or whatever, that they can't fall. It can happen to anybody. It can happen to anybody. I mean, look at what happened to Tony Evans. Now, again, I don't know what the details were with Tony Evans, I haven't seen anything else come out. It's kind of like a lot of this stuff has still been swept up under the rug. So, but the enemy is at work. All right. Just to put it plainly, the enemy is at work. Anybody can fall subject to any type of sin. That's why the Bible tells us to continue to renew our minds daily. This is a walk that has to continue to happen, and it can only happen under the authority of Jesus Christ and with the Holy Spirit. You can't do this on your own without the help of the Holy Spirit and the Word of God. Sola Scriptura. All right. Oh, where would B3 at? There we go. All right, Sola Scriptura. Yeah, and just like Denise says, we need to make sure we don't make men into idols. Definitely don't want to do that. Listen, there are certain guys that I rocks with heavy. I'm talking about heavy. But if something egregious comes out to where like these guys have done something foul, hey, listen, I gotta ride with I have to ride with the Bible more than I ride with these guys. I will not hesitate to get on here and address anyone who deviates from the Word of God or who kind of gives a bad sort of a bad reputation in the name of the Lord. I mean, we just got to be fair. That's why when folks want to talk about, the charismatics, I'm like, hold on, you better make sure that, if you want to prop up the reformers, you better make sure that you got to have that same energy. Don't be silent if something happens on the reform side. You ain't willing to call that out, but you want to call out people on the Pentecostal charismatic side. We got to have that same energy because our job is to protect the flock. All right. Let's try to wrap this up. He formerly served as a teaching fellow at Ligonier Ministries and as the dean of Doctor of Seminary Studies at the Master's Seminary, but has since been removed from both websites. Oh, so that means that everybody is cutting ties with Steve Lawson. Wow. Oh, man. It's not looking good, y'all. A frequent speaker with John MacArthur at TMS events, Lawson often appeared in front of MacArthur's congregation at Grace Community Church in Sun Valley, California for the Shepherds Conference and other events. Yeah, and I actually saw him preach. When was this? This was in April. And my family and I, we went to a family conference up in North Carolina. I forgot the name of the conference because they kind of changed it. But it's like this conference that they have every year. It's kind of like geared towards families and stuff like that. And Steve Lawson was one of the preachers there, along with like Conrad and Bayway and a few other people talking about, family stuff. And I actually saw him preach. I even saw him preach at the G3. Last time I was at the G3, he was there. His page on the Grace Community Church website remained active as of Friday. Additionally, Lawson has written over 30 books, including It Will Cost You Everything, What It Takes to Follow Jesus, and Foundations of Grace, a long line of godly men. Lawson has been married to his wife and for over 40 years. They have 4 adult children. Lawson's resignation is the latest in what's been a year of scandal for the pastors and the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Man, oh man. Man, what's going on with my Dallas folks? Listen, now I live in Atlanta, and we know Atlanta has been a mess. So we've been looking to y'all over there in Dallas. We've been looking to y'all in Dallas, man, to make sure that we have some type of beacon of hope. Man. Yeah, Sissy, she said Atlanta's no good too. I'm telling you, man, we not. That's why I'm not. I don't even want to talk about here in Atlanta. Oh, my bad, my bad. Look at that. Played myself. I done played myself. All right. So now I was saying, uh, God still got a remnant. All right, here we go. God still got a remnant. Okay. There's still some of us who ain't bowed the knee to Baal here in Atlanta. All right. God still got a remnant here. Okay. But and yeah, y'all go ahead, hit that notifications bell, hit that notifications bell, and I'm sorry, hit the like button first, then hit the notifications bell if you guys are new subscribers here. But let's go back to this poll that I have only live. I'm sorry, only in the live chat on YouTube, where I'm asking, can or should Steve Lawson be restored to ministry? So far, only 16% of you guys say yes, only after a period. 47% of you, the majority of you guys, say no, he's disqualified. 28% of you guys say it's up to the Lord, and 8% of you guys say that you just pray for him. But listen, how come only 8% of y'all only want to pray for him? That should be, majority of y'all should be saying, you know what? We just all need to pray for Steve Lawson. But nah, not this bunch. Y'all want to see him removed from ministry. Y'all want to see him removed from ministry. Grace and peace, JM. Grace and peace. Sword of Truth says, out in Atlanta here, any good churches you recommend? I'm still trying to figure that out. However, I do attend a home church out in Powder Springs, Georgia. And I know that April Chapman has a church on the east side that she attends. Jason of Dear Woke Christian, I think he has a church that he attends in Marietta. So I think that there should be a couple of people that I could probably refer you to. But I don't know. Email me. All right. All right. Let's continue. In June, Tony Evans, pastor of the 11,000 member Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship Church in Dallas, stepped down from his pastoral duties, quote unquote, due to sin. All right. Oh, that's what the truth says today in Douglasville. Yeah, just go ahead and send me that email. Days later, Robert Morris, founding pastor of Gateway Church based in Southlake, resigned as lead pastor following allegations of sexual misconduct. Morris founded the congregation in 2000. Over the summer, lead pastor Josiah Anthony of Christ Timbers Church resigned over sexual messaging with women and other inappropriate behavior, which sparked a chain of resignations from other Cross Timber leaders. Earlier this month, Scott Crenshaw, the senior pastor of Lake Country Church in Fort Worth, Texas, was fired and accused of looking at quote-unquote inappropriate images, an allegation which Crenshaw called quote-unquote absolutely baseless. Man. It's the second such allegation against Crenshaw since 2016, when, while recovering from cancer and serving as a senior pastor of the multi-campus New River Church in Texas, he was removed from his post for, quote, viewing inappropriate images, end quote, on his computer while he was at work. Oh, man. Man, oh, man, oh, man. Yeah, when you're looking at stuff like that while you're at work, I really think that you have a problem, a serious problem. I mean, you have a serious problem with that. And that's the end of this article. That is the end of this article talking about Pastor Steven Lawson. All right. And listen, y'all go ahead and partake in the poll. Let me go ahead and read the last results of this poll before we get up out of here. Well, I'm asking in the live chat only on YouTube. Can or should Steve Lawson be restored to ministry, especially after listening to this article? So far, 14% of you say yes, but only after a period. 50% of you say no, he's disqualified. 29% of you say it's up to the Lord. And 7% of you say you just pray for Steve Lawson. All right, let me go ahead and just end this poll. All right, so we are going to get into it. That only took us about 30 minutes. It only took us about 30 minutes to cover. So we right on schedule. Right on schedule. All right. I'm trying to see how I'm going to ask this next question. Let me do this. Robert M says, when is a pastor not at work? Hey, listen, hey, I got to give you a horn for that. Now, here's the thing, all right, because I want to be clear on this. I'm not saying that a person should be able to watch or look at inappropriate stuff only when they're not at work. All right. So I want to put that out there before people start saying, wait, hold on. It's actually saying that it might be a time where a person can look at inappropriate images, but only not at work. All right. I don't want that to be put out there. But what I'm saying is that if you're not supposed to be looking at it, period, and then you turn around and do it at work as a pastor or as a person who has a high position at a church, then you have a serious problem. That is a serious problem. Sheila Mahone says, Alton, did you hear about the pastor that committed suicide after being arrested for SA? Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I wanted to cover that story, but I was traveling at the time. And, I was like, man, I don't know if I wanted to cover it, but I just said, nah, let me just leave it alone. Let me just leave it alone. I think what I'm going to start doing is that I am going to, maybe start, when I start to see these articles, I'll just start clipping them and then I'll just start posting them on my social media. So therefore, if I can't cover it here live, then I'll just, put the links inside of my social media. If you guys are following me on anything else, then you guys can read those articles for yourself. All right. So let's go ahead and get ready to get into this. And I hope I just didn't play myself because I need to pull this up. And yep, I think I did. Yep. Just played myself. Let me see if I can pull this back up. Hopefully, Microsoft Edge will allow me to restore the page I was just on, and it's not. So let's see if we can pull this back up. So we want to get into Corey's video. Brother Corey's video. So we're going to be talking about Christian nationalism. Sheila said, oh no, not another pop quiz. Actually, you know what? Just for that, I'm going to make a pop quiz anyway. I'm going to ask right here in the live poll, only on YouTube. All right. So I'm gonna let this marinate on y'all while I'm typing this out. Is Christian nationalism racism? All right. Is Christian nationalism racism? All right. So while I'm typing this out, y'all go ahead and think about that and get ready to vote. All right. All right. All right. But I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it simple though. Yeah, because it's certain folks that start to address this, and they saying that, hey man, we need to start talking about this. All right, and here we go. All right. Yeah, let's just do this right here. All right. So let me know in a live poll only on YouTube. Is Christian nationalism racism? Now, I just want to say that there are some people, and I think I'm going to address this maybe later at the end of this live stream because I kind of don't want to end up going down a rabbit hole. But there are some people going to say, see, we've been telling y'all those racism inside of the Christian church. You know, all of them reformers, and especially y'all reformers, there's a lot of racism. And we've been trying to tell y'all. I'll address that after we play this particular video from Brother Corey Minor. Shout out to Corey Minor. He was on last night. Cooking. Go ahead and bring this out. Cooking on the panel. Bringing that Greek out. Don't play with Corey on that Greek. Shoot. Don't play with him. Bring that Greek out.
Point is, back.
Okay, here we go. All right. Here we go. Let's go ahead and blow this up. We're going to go ahead, share this screen. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Now, if you guys want to watch this, go to Corey's channel, Smart Christians channel, and you guys can watch the whole entire exchange between him and Joel Webbon. I think it was a great exchange, and I implore you guys to go and take a look at it, watch it for yourselves, because a lot of great stuff was said. And listen, I cannot, cover the whole 2 hours. Paris Capri said, can we get a definition? Now, here's the thing about Christian nationalism. Let me do this. I don't know. No, I ain't gonna do it. Because number one, I'm strapped for time. Number two, I wasn't planning on doing this. And number three, some of the clips that I may bring up, some of y'all might be like, I don't know about all of that. I'm going to say that there is a lot of people have a lot of different terminologies or a lot of different definitions of Christian nationalism. But I will say that on social media, there seems to be a group of guys who are like super pro-America. America is this Christian nation, and, God is going to restore America, so therefore we can be a light to everyone because we're kind of like the pillar of the Christian faith and all of this type of stuff. And there's even some of these guys running around here who are like super pro crusades. Like they believe that the crusades should be brought back. All right. And I'm just like, I don't know if you guys understood what happened during the crusades, but it's kind of alarming when you got some guys running around here saying that we should bring the crusades back. So those are kind of like the guys who are at the forefront pushing Christian nationalism. And they got some pretty extreme and interesting views, like we're about to hear right now with Brother Corey and Joel Webbon. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. We're gonna put the speed at, well, let's do it in HD. Hopefully that don't mess up. Let's do the speed. Gonna put the speed at 1.25 for the sake of time. And let's go ahead and get into this. And y'all let me know y'all thoughts as we are going through this video, which I know y'all gonna do anyway. All right, fair use.
To your question, establishing all that, applying that to a nation, absolutely, they're going to be citizens, and to your point, they're going to be leaders. Of course, there are. No Christian nationalist that I'm aware of is denying that. There will inevitably, in the past, when you look at Christian history in certain nations and things like that, again, England or or Ireland or these United States, that there are leaders who made a profession that claim to be Christian, and in the final analysis, we'll get to heaven one day, and they won't be there. We'll find out, oh, dude, that guy was a liar.
So let me ask you this, because and this is going to take us where I want to go to. I think that, and the reason why I asked, do you think America was just a nation that had a Christian wrapper around it? I think America was founded on Christian principles. Not now. For some, I think there were some people that were absolutely godly. I think there were some that were not, and there were some that were kind of just hiding in between. because whether it be individual people or the nation, there were still ungodly atrocities that the country would do. There were those who would say that they were against slaves, but go ahead and accept it and have slaves, and then would molest or do things to their slaves. There were those who would do all sorts of atrocities to Native Americans, to Indians, and let's be honest, to each other. The reason is it's not the Christian foundation. It's the demonic inside man's heart. And I think ultimately what ends up happening is it ends up being something that shows up as kind of, I don't know, what's the word? Racially biased in some cases. And I think everybody to some degree has been, can be, will be. And I think that's what happens if you start determining, again, we're going to have this Christian nation and who's going to be the Christians in charge. And so that I think, I could be wrong, and this is where I want you to help me and even defend this point or defend yourself. Because I think if you're going to have an idea, I think the best thing that you have to have is good PR. Make sure that you don't have to apologize for everything. Because to be honest, Joe, there's some things that you said, like, wait a second, huh? I fix that. The issue about America and we weren't as bad because we didn't go out and take slaves, but we bought slaves. And so let me ask you about this comment.
And so the comment that I made is I said, well, the founders, right, our civil fathers in America, it's not as though they were hopping on ships and sailing across the Atlantic and going into the bush of Africa with, human-sized nets and casting them on people and kidnapping them, dragging them back onto their ships and then taking them over and exploiting them as slaves. No, we didn't go over and steal people. We went over and bought people. If we're going to condemn America, right, if we're going to rewrite history, 1619 Project, and really America, wasn't built on principles of freedom. It was built on the backs of slaves. And all that. Okay, if we're going to do that, I just think we need to be consistent. I just think we need to be fair. I don't think we should do that. But if you're going to do that, then you've got to hate. You got to hate. If you hate, AOC, Ocasio-Cortez, she hates America. Liberals hate America. They're not patriots. They don't even want you to fly an American flag on the 4th of July. They hate America. And all I'm saying is you need to be consistent. And if you hate, and they do, hate America, you got to hate African nations. That's my point. Because Americans went over there and bought people. And we can argue till we're blue in the face about all the things that are wrong about that. And I probably agree with you 9 out of 10 of your points. But if that's wrong, and I believe it is, but if that's wrong, then how do you defend tribe warring against tribe and the victors then enslaving the losers and then selling them?
Okay, so this is where I would say.
All right, now I just want to let y'all know that's where I had the problem. That's why I wanted to do this tonight. When I heard that, I said, oof. I'm telling you, that black power that I had to suppress, that was starting to build up. Oof. Oof. That old black power was it was building up. It was building up. I said, I can't believe this dude got on here and he was bold with it. So I said, okay. I said, Alton, just chill. Let's see where this goes. Let's see where this goes. I said, all right. So let's go ahead. Let's get back to it. I had to slow it back down because Corey sped it up. And of course I sped it up. So it just kind of made it seem like that, it was like going like really, really fast. So I had to slow it down just for a little bit. All right. Okay. Let's continue. Y'all, but listen, y'all hit that like button. Hit that like button and that notifications bell if you have just subscribed to the channel. And listen, it don't matter where you watch it from. Hit the like button, please. I appreciate y'all. And partake in that poll. Let me go ahead and read this poll real quick. All right, before we get back into this. Because I didn't see the results earlier. Is Christian nationalism racism? So far, 29% of you say absolutely. 26 says not at all. And 45% of you guys says that you are not sure. You are not sure. All right, let's continue. Fair use. Brother Corey, don't strike my channel. All right, here we go.
Say, when I saw that, Joel, I'm like, okay, you have to fix that. Can you explain that? Because these are just some of the clips that are just out there. And in all fairness, I think it's just best to give you an opportunity to say, okay, this is what I meant. This is what I'm trying to say. The clip didn't fully encapsulate what I was trying to say. So can you explain that?
Same thing with the 19th Amendment. Happy to explain. First, I just, for clarity, so I understand what I'm explaining. Could you help me in telling me what you see wrong with that?
Well,
bro, he he said that he wants Corey to explain to him why it's a problem with what he said in the clip, saying that, hey, we just went over there and bought them. It wasn't like we was rounding them up. Bro, I mean, the transatlantic slave trade, let's just cover here in America, because that's what we're talking about. We're not going to talk about the islands. We're not going to talk about, in the UK, any of the other places. Let's just focus on America, because we're talking about Christian nationalism right here in America. The transatlantic slave trade was a horrendous period for black people in this country. Hands down. Hands down. Now, as Christians, we understand that man's heart is inherently wicked. And if man can kind of find a way to wiggle his way through sin and to kind of justify his sin a little bit, we'll slip into some stuff. And we'll do some heinous stuff. I mean, the people of Israel did it back in the day. When we read the Bible, we just saw how Israel, they did good sometimes, then they slipped back into evil, and they did good, and then they slipped back into evil, and they did some really heinous things throughout the history of the people of the time of the Israelites. So we know that the sin nature is there inherently. But to kind of downplay the fact that Americans bought slaves, brought them here to America, and did some of the most horrendous things to some of these slaves imaginable. That's the problem, Joel. That's the problem. So the problem isn't whether you threw nets over them and snatched them up like we saw in Roots. The problem is that slavery was horrible, period. And to try to make it seem like that you downplaying it, it's like now people are starting to be like, okay, well, hold on, this Christian nationalism thing, maybe we really need to start keeping y'all up under a microscope, because it seems like that y'all trying to, purport this low-key racism. Well, we didn't really catch them. We just bought them. You thought you was doing black people a favor? And I'm hoping that that's just not the thinking and the mindset of people like him and others who support this Christian nationalism thing. Because I know that brother Vocab Malone, shout out to Vocab Malone, he's starting to move his channel towards this whole Christian nationalism movement. Because some of these guys are saying some pretty alarming things. And I think that Vocab Malone and brother Rick Caldwell and brother K-Dub, they did a live stream together, and they was bringing out some egregious stuff that Joel Webbon was saying, which is, I mean, if we're going to be honest, some of that stuff was racist. All right? Just to put it out there. But, now, for context, he just asked Corey, what was the problem? Or help him to understand what he had a problem with when he heard him say what he said in that clip. All right, let's see if he's going to clear this up.
Here's the biggest issue, the biggest rub against Christian nationalists. You all come off as either racist or race-ish, or maybe you too in favor of white heritage, or maybe claiming to have a more superior heritage. And in doing so, sometimes you either uplift yours and say, well, what about them? Kind of thing. And that's what I see happening here. We're not that bad, but because we didn't go and take them, we just bought them. Oh, by the way, Western Europeans did go in and actually also went into Africa and also took slaves as well. So it's not just European nations buying slaves from African tribes. They also went into some places and also took slaves themselves. And so I'm trying to find the rationale for that particular argument. It's almost like you're trying to make an excuse where none should be made. And I think that can be the problem. You rub folks the wrong way when you say, well, it wasn't that bad. Here's the truth. And so forth. No, it was bad. Let's just call it bad and then move on.
Yeah. So my point in that clip was not to say that that no American throughout the course of our history bears any moral culpability or guilt for slavery. That's not what I was saying. I was trying to combat the 1619 Project, people like Alexander Ocasio-Cortez and certain people in the Democrat Party and all that kind of stuff, that their argument is not that, hey, you know what, the whole world at various times and various degrees has been guilty of slavery. The Ottoman Empire, Asians are guilty of slavery, Africans are guilty of slavery, Europeans, Americans, everybody's, virtually every nation in the world has had slaves. My point was to say, I don't know about you, Corey, but at least from what I've witnessed over the last 10, 15 years of political, cultural, discourse and media, virtually every movie that's made that's woke, and all these kinds of things. I don't hear people saying, hey, you know what, America's guilty. And that matters as we seek to be righteous before God. But at the end of the day, America's no more guilty than this nation and this nation and this nation, and the whole world is guilty. So let's repent and love our brothers in Christ, regardless of their skin pigment, regardless of their nationality. And let's.
Yeah, but Joel, and here's the thing. I can't remember if Corey's going to get to this part, but I'm going to say it anyway. There have been people saying that. Now, whether or not you want to see it in a movie, this, that, and the third, okay, yeah, fine, whatever. Can't debate that, can't argue that, because I haven't seen every movie, and I'm not going to try to defend some quote-unquote documentary or something that has said slavery has gone on around the world. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think those Uncle Tom, those particular Uncle Tom documentaries, and that Fault Lines documentary that Vodi Bakum did kind of alluded to that, hey, slavery was taking place all over the world. But the point that they drove home was that although slavery was taking place over the world, who has been the only group of people to stand 10 toes down and even give their lives to fight against slavery? You see what I'm saying? So it's not, because I know Joel Webbon is saying that, well, I wanted to kind of speak against the whole thing with the 1619 Project, and I get it. I even said some things against the 1619 Project and all of this wokeism, and you have some of these Christians, black Christians with the quote unquote woke church. I've made plenty of videos, and I still stand 10 toes down on my position, against the whole ideology of the woke church and all of that stuff. In some of my other videos, not going to talk about that now. That's another topic for another discussion. But the point that I've always tried to drive home was that no matter what these other folks are talking about, or no matter how you feel emotionally, how are you leading people to the gospel? Don't sit back and then try to do the inverse of what someone else is doing to try to justify another flawed position, and you're basically just stirring the pot even more. Because you look at a guy like Joel Webbon, who's basically promoting white Christian nationalism. Let's just be real. He's promoting this veneer of like the pure Christian white man who's going to solve everybody's problems, and how us as Americans, we need to come together. Because I've seen some of these tweets, I've seen some of these threads, I've even listened to some of these guys a couple of times on Twitter talking this nonsense, talking this garbage, and they're trying to make it seem like that, well, it was us Christian white men who have brought water and lights and all of this stuff to like these other nations, and we've done this and we've done that, and and everybody else can be just as good as us, but just know that we've been leading the fight against all of the evils in the world. And they're propping up all of this, whiteness and all of this stuff here. And just because you got people that are like Joel Webbon, who promote whiteness and white superiority from a Christian standpoint, that doesn't give you the right as a black person to prop up blackness and say that, well, to prop up some black superiority or have some black superiority complex to try to combat what these guys are saying. Because if we're going to be honest, I don't even want to get into all of that. I really don't. I just don't want to get into all of that. Let's just get back to the video, because I'm starting to get triggered. All right. Fair use.
to move forward. That's not the message I'm hearing. The message I'm hearing is not that America is guilty, but that America is uniquely guilty. It's the most guilty. The argument that I've been hearing for the last 10, 15 years with this BLM, wokeness, DI disease is that America is uniquely guilty. That and basically the argument would it basically amounts to this. They would say, well, the reason why America is so prosperous is because it's not despite. It's not because of obedience to Christ and the ways that, although imperfect, in the ways that, yes, they failed, but their attempts to be obedient to Christ, to honor Christ from their founding, God bless that despite sins with slavery. Instead, it's the opposite. The argument that I've been hearing for 10, 15 years, and even in the church, the woke church, is that America is prosperous not because of righteousness despite slavery, but that America is prosperous because of exploitation precisely because of slavery. And so the argument that I was making in that clip was simply trying to debunk that myth. I don't believe that America has been so temporally blessed and temporally prosperous and powerful, superpower on the world stage, not so much anymore, but for a long time, for a while, and all these things, and the growing GDP, and it's because we built our wealth on the backs of slavery. I don't think that's it. If that was a case, then there would be certain African nations that absolutely were completely entangled in slave trade and for centuries that would be uniquely prosperous. I think that you got to do better than that. You got to account for the blessing of God on America and not just call it exploitation. So all that being said, there's nothing that I was trying to communicate that said, hey, you know what, the African slave trade, right, the transatlantic slave trade, it's not so bad, it's this was great. The guys that I admire when I think of the Confederacy and some of the Southern guys, and there's some guys in the Union with the North as well that I would also admire. But when I think of guys like Stonewall Jackson, or Robert E. Lee, and good Christian men, these were Christian men. They loved the Lord. They really did. And I think there's a higher likelihood of
I always try to be optimistic when it comes to conversations like this. I really do. I just kind of be like, okay, all right, let me try to see if I can maybe extract the good out of what he's saying, and maybe try to be a little bit more open-minded. Listen, the Confederacy. I don't remember them being on the side of black people. I just don't remember that. I really don't remember that. And I'm telling you, man, I'm starting to feel like black power rise up just a little bit. Just a little bit. I just don't have enough time to cover this tonight. I'm really I'm kind of doing this off the cuff because I was already triggered, and I said, man, listen, if I start taking notes and bringing up clips and all of that stuff, and I said, I don't want to be on here for 4 hours. A lot of y'all are saying that that's problematic. Okay, now I want to know, just to be fair, is what he said problematic? Type of 1, if what he said is problematic. Type of 2, if you don't believe that, what he said is problematic, maybe we just kind of misinterpreted him. All right. I remember when PragerU, I think PragerU, they had done a video one time where they were trying to purport like the Confederacy, that the Confederacy was not really that, like we just kind of get the Confederacy kind of like misunderstood. Like it was a bunch of good men in the Confederacy who was really fighting for the freedoms of America. And I think that they were saying that that John Brown, one of the abolitionists, who was fighting to free black slaves, they call him like a radical, right? They was like, and they fought against the radical John Brown. And I'm like, well, hold on. John Brown you consider him radical? Well, I mean, are you considering him radical because the way he went about trying to free slaves, or his approach to freeing slaves, or what are we talking about? Because it seems like that you're trying to prop up the Confederacy, and then you're trying to tear down the people who was fighting against the Confederacy, especially those who were trying to help free slaves. So, come on, Joel, clean it up. Clean it up, Joel. I mean, Redeem Christian nationalism. Redeem the title. All right. All right. Let's continue. Let's see if Joel gonna clean us up. Let's see if gonna clean it up, y'all.
Have seen some of these guys, much to some people's chagrin, seeing these guys in heaven for eternity and worshiping, worshiping the Lord side by side with Stonewall Jackson. I think there's, if I was a betting man, not saying that I am, but if I was a betting man, God alone sees the heart. Man looks at the outward appearance. I'm not making a definitive claim. I don't know. But if I was a betting man, I would bet on Stonewall Jackson being in heaven above Martin Luther King Jr.
Whoa! 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 I can't do this no more, y'all. I'm sorry. I gotta do the live. Thank y'all for showing up tonight. Yeah. I think I'll see y'all next time. Oh man. Oh. Okay, all right. I will say this. I don't know. Oh man. Oh man. I don't know. I think I may need to do another live stream dedicated to this. This man said he think that he will see Stonewall Jackson in heaven before he see Martin Luther King. Now I will say, all right, now there's been some problems with some of the things that Martin Luther King has said and some of his actions that have been reported. All right, so I ain't gonna sit back and play dumb to try to make it seem like that there was some problems with Martin Luther King. There's been some problems with Martin Luther King. Okay, granted, I'll give him that. I'll go ahead and give him a hand clap on that. But I'm not finna sit back and say that Stonewall Jackson was way more pure and way more righteous than Martin Luther King. All right, so I'm not finna go that far. If anything, I don't think that it would be far-fetched to say that both of those men are probably in hell right now. That's just me. But what do I know? All right, let's continue.
Well,
just saying.
Here's what I would say, because sometimes I would say this, Joe. Sometimes it seems as you're trying to go the inflammatory route, which is fine. If it's true. Now, I have no idea where Stonewall Jackson is or any of the other people. I have no idea, because one of the clips that we always play is that you can be saved and stupid. So somebody can be saved and make stupid decisions or be off. But I wouldn't. But I think the problem is when you highlight people. I think the argument could be this. Now, I call myself Captain America. I love America. I never quit, and I want to kill the bad guys. But I also have to honor and explain and make it understood that we've done bad. We're all bad. I think the point you ought to make is, yes, we were just as egregious, just like all of mankind is egregious. And the difference between what happens here in America versus Africa, or compared to Muslim nations that took in more slaves, is our at least trying to be rooted in the Bible. We weren't always that case. But I wouldn't go back and then crap on Africa, like these African nations, this or that, or what have you, because everybody was selling and trading slaves. At the time, you had white slaves. You had, so, and then they said that
but that's my point, is I would not argue, and I guess this might be where you and I just disagree, and that's okay. I could be wrong, but I would not argue that we were just as egregious. That's my whole point, is I think part of the reason why America historically has been so uniquely blessed by God is it because we were not just as egregious. And that doesn't mean, again,
how are we not as egregious?
As Muslim countries?
Yeah, how are we not as egregious?
Because Muslim countries worship demons. Their slavery was far more severe, far more widespread, numerically far greater, because Muslims worship demons.
Okay, but to the slave, does it matter if your slaveholder, if your slave master is worshiping demons or worshiping Jesus? I think it's worse that if you tell me that you got the true God, you worship you say you worship the true God, and you inflict these atrocities on me. I think that's far worse than someone who's worshiping Moloch or Baal. At least they got it out. They don't know any better. We should know better.
Right. Hypocrisy. So it sounds like your main principle, and I would agree with hypocrisy, is egregious. That is one example of an egregious sin. I'm with you. Hypocrisy is egregious. However, the reason why I do think it matters, because the scenario you just painted was the guy worshiping Allah, who's a slaveholder, and the guy worshiping the triune God, who's a slaveholder. The reason why it matters is that in some cases, the guy who is worshiping the triune God isn't actually worship. It's just a name only. He's not actually regenerate. He's not born again. And so it's not just that he is a slaveholder, but as a slaveholder, he is abusing his slaves. He is doing certain things that the Bible strictly forbids. He's sinning. He is sinning against God. He's sinning against his slaves. He's sinning against his.
Yeah, but the thing is that Joel Webbon was just propping up Stonewall Jackson. Now, I know that a lot of people, they honor Stonewall Jackson because of his, I guess you could say like his military genius. But on the surface, it seems like that Stonewall Jackson was fighting to keep slaves in the hands of those particular guys that Corey is bringing up. In which Joel Webbon says, yeah, it's problematic, especially if there are people who claim to be Christians and they're doing egregious things to their slaves. And he's considering them particular guys as hypocrites. So it's just like, you can't really have it both ways. To where on the one hand, oh, well, yeah, I think that Stonewall Jackson is going to make it into heaven, or he made it into heaven before Martin Luther King. But then Stonewall Jackson was kind of on the side of the dudes who were enslaving black people and committing atrocities in the midst of doing that. So it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. And this is the problem with this. When you're playing identity politics with Christianity, well, and y'all know, and a lot of y'all who have been watching me for quite some time, this is the same problem that I had with the woke church. At the same problem. And I said, listen, you cannot try to elevate your blackness or elevate your culture alongside the Bible, because you're going to end up entangling and wrapping yourself into, or I'm sorry, being caught up into a snare. Because when the culture, or when your particular group does something egregious, now you're going to have to try to defend that. And if you try to defend that with the Bible, it's not going to turn out good. It never turns out good. It never turns out good. So I'm just like, this is the problem. When you're trying to have some quote unquote Christian identity. Because you start going down these rabbit holes, and now people start seeing more of your quote unquote Christian identity instead of actually seeing Christ. And you got a lot of these guys who are running around here that's diving into this stuff because they want to be a part of a group. And trust me, I get it. Just like with the black folks, I get it. Yes, black people have had, we've gone through some stuff in this country. Yeah, sometimes, we could be, we can encounter some people who may treat us a certain way. And sometimes it happens to me. Sometimes I notice little stuff too when I'm out. All right, so I ain't going to play games. To where somebody of a different color or a different race may get a certain greeting where me coming right behind that person, I don't get the same greeting. I don't get the same acknowledgement. I may feel like that if I'm working at a job. Not saying that this is at my current job, because my current job, all right. I ain't talking about my current job, but I done been on jobs to where I've seen a little bit of favoritism where it's certain groups of people who are favored a little bit more than me and those who identify like me. You know what I'm saying? So I get when the woke church was coming out and they had their talking points. I totally get it. Yes, these are things that have to be addressed. But don't start propping that up more than you're propping up the gospel of Jesus Christ. Because the same rabbit hole that the woke church has fallen into is the same rabbit hole that these guys are falling into. This is why I don't do these, trying to be all linked and locked in with certain folks and certain groups. And that's why, people, they say, well, Alton, you're like a Calvinist, and you might as well just go ahead and come out as Calvinist. I'm like, no, I'm not holding to that title, because I done been insulted within Calvinist groups. I done had people say, nah, man, you can't really be a Calvinist, because you're basically speaking against the stuff that we're doing over here. This is what Calvinism is. And they turned that into like some type of subsect of Christianity. And I'm like, I don't rock with that. I just give me Jesus. I'm just simple like that. Just give me the word, give me the gospel. I want to be equipped on knowing the gospel, so therefore I can go back out and spread it to others. That's where I am. And now Joel Webbon is trying to use the excuse that, well, you had the woke church and you had the 1619 project. We're just trying to combat that. But then now the question has to be, well, where is your heart? Same question that I was asking those who hold to the woke church. Is your heart really for Christ and getting the gospel out to people? Or is it about trying to have an argument or trying to come up with some counterculture?
Country against he's and so and while claiming the name of being a follower of Jesus, and so in that sense it's all the atrocities of the Muslim slaveholder plus the degree of hypocrisy, while lying. And so in that case, sure, I'm with you, that's egregious, and an argument can be made that it's more egregious. That's not what I'm talking about. That did exist, nobody's denying that. I have no doubt that there were unregenerate slaveholders who were abusive to their slaves. That's documented. I have no intention to argue against that. I think that's stupid. It's not stupid, but my point is stupid to argue against it. So I'm with you. What I'm talking about, though, is guys like Jonathan Edwards, who I really believe, by all the documentation that we have, and again, you and I don't have a time machine, and we're not omniscient. We don't see the heart, but I believe Jonathan Edwards was a good Christian man. I really do, and he had slaves. Or George Whitefield, he had. I believe that these were good Christian men, and that they treated their slaves as much as it depended upon them with dignity. They invited their slaves into fellowship as brothers in Christ in the church. They catechized them. They even taught their slaves to read in many cases, so that they could read the Bible for themselves. They knelt down side by side on the Lord's Day at the Lord's table to take communion. Robert E. Lee did these things, and I think there's a dynamic difference between Robert E. Lee and the Muslim warlord. Is that a crazy position?
Well, again, I hold them more accountable. Now, I have said I've said this, that is it possible that a person could have owned slaves and gone to heaven? Well, sure, we've got people in the Bible that have done so. So, but the difference is what how ignorant you are. For example, if you treat the person, and it also depends on what type of slavery you have. Right. But those slavers who would call themselves Christians, who would also drop off slaves at these places in different places in the Caribbean, and intentionally dehumanize the slaves, cutting babies out of the women's womb and so forth, and raping the women in front of them. Well, no, you know what? No, and if you could have passed that, then that is a point I've got to question what's on the inside.
I'm not giving not giving a pass to that at all. So I'm with you. It depends on. I agree with both things that you said. It depends on what kind of slavery we're talking about. And then how did you handle yourself as a slave owner, in what manner? One thing that as I'm trying to study history and get a good idea of what was the world like, and what was America like, and what was the cause of the Confederates? Was it just to defend slavery, or was it the right of states to succeed from what they viewed as a tyrant who was trying to centralize, and federalize, all the power and take it away from the states? And there's a lot of.
Well, why not just say this?
History is complex.
Why not just say this rather than pointing a finger at Africa, because those nations or those tribes, they're no longer in existence. Rather than lifting up the virtues of a Robert E. Lee or Stonewall Jackson, which you are never going to win on that. Wisdom would say you're never going to win on that, and you don't have to. If they're in heaven, amen. If they're not, amen still. But why not just say this? Speak to how leaning or falling back on the virtues of the scriptures is the issue. Why not just say, and again, I'm Captain America. I love our country in spite of all of our ills, and slavery was abolished in 1808, or the slave trade was abolished in 1808, while other countries in the world kept it going, and it was abolished because of people who were believers of the Bible. Focus on that, because the reason is, if you focus on that, how slavery was eventually eradicated in Western civilization and how the slave trade was abolished. I think it's what it goes back to my first point. If you focus on that, there's no need for a Christian nation. If you focus on that, the way that Paul advocated for Onesimus being set free, the way the abolitionists did, not in tearing down the country or whatever, but appealing to the heart of the people. If you say you love the Lord, well, then prove it. Here's how. And so I think that ought to be the case. The problem is, though, with all due respect, it comes across, though, Joel, when you say certain things like, and I've got to give you the benefit of the doubt, but it comes across as though you have a preference towards whites and not towards blacks. And so
Why?
Well,
Why?
on some of the things that you say, let me play two clips of something that you said, and then another person that this guy says something, and I cannot believe that there wasn't a response for you. But let me do the first two clips first.
Like I walk around my neighborhood, and it's not that there are different shades of, white and brown. Who cares? No, I mean, like full, straight up Hindu garb at our neighborhood swimming pool that my daughter is asking. I'm trying to explain. She's like, what, like, and I don't even know what country I'm in my own neighborhood. I don't know where I am. It's, I mean, the number of, when we go on a family walk, the number of Pakistani, Hindu, all these different, not just ethnicities, but religions with visible religious outfits on. And, the same thing like when we go to Costco, I'm like, where am I? And so like, it's rare. Like we'll go on a family walk and every now and then we'll pass by, a white family that's a man and a woman and has more than one kid. And every time I see it, I'm like, I don't want to be this way. But I feel like this like small sense of relief. Like I see you. I'm glad you're one of my neighbors. Because at the end of the day, again, it's not about whiteness, but at the end of the day, if things get rough, I don't know if my Hindu neighbor is going to fight to save the lives of my children. I don't know what vested interest, like I love this country. I'm willing to fight to defend it. A lot of people here, I don't think are.
So you I'll let you explain. The question is, why is that you feel this way about seeing a lot of people of different ethnicities that are not white in your neighborhood, however they may be dressed? Why would that give you pause? Why would you rather see a white couple together, maybe walking their dog or jogging?
This is a question. Same as the first two clips. I'll ask you this. What about that? I'm struggling. I'll just go for it. So to answer your question, why do I care? Because I'm a Christian first and foremost, and I'm an American secondly. I think that we have an elite political and cultural class that absolutely hates American citizens, wants to kill us, wants us dead, wants no future for our posterity, and is importing the third world to America by the millions in order to destroy the country. So I don't. So seeing entire towns like Springfield, Ohio, taken over, you've got 500,000, in Springfield it's 20, but you've got 500 total, upwards of 500,000 Haitians, which is 5.9% of the total entire population of Haiti. And Haiti, it's not that they're black, that's not the point. Haiti, the chief religion of Haiti is voodoo. They literally worship demons. There's cannibalism, right? It's not, who cares about eating cats and dogs? I care a little bit. I don't.
Okay, listen, I gotta get some pushback on that a little bit. I got some Haitian friends, okay, and I was born and raised in South Florida, raised around a lot of Haitian people. This is where people got to be careful with the whole Haitian thing. All right, you have a lot more Haitians that are Christian that practice voodoo. All right. I'm gonna tell you like this. I could probably count on one hand of how many times I've heard a person say that they know somebody or a Haitian. They know of a Haitian or had a Haitian person in their family that actually practiced voodoo in Haiti. Especially a lot of the Haitians that I know, they are not with that. Haitians that I've talked to, they're not into all of that voodoo and stuff. Now about eating, the cat thing, right? Because when I was in South Florida, that was always a rumor. Okay, this is not. It's not something that was never a topic of discussion when I was down in South Florida about Haitians eating cats and all of that stuff. To be honest with you, I've had Haitians tell me that yes, there are some people in Haiti that do eat cats, but it is not something that is like widely accepted among Haitian people. There's a lot of Haitian people that you'll run into that'll be like, heck no, like we don't eat any of that. But there's a certain a small percentage, very, very small percentage of some Haitian people in Haiti that will eat a cat. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason. All right. But again, that's another topic for another discussion. But the thing about Joel is that it seems that, again, he has to continue to bring out a lot of these talking points because it seems like that he's one of the face or like one of the, people out there in the forefront who's trying to uphold Christian nationalism. WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestantism. And I think that Joel doesn't see the problem. And that's the most dangerous thing right there, is that I don't think that he sees the problem with a lot of things that he's saying or the way that, or his way of thinking. He doesn't see a problem with it. And this is why I question the salvation of people like him. Because, he's talking about all of these people that's walking around in his neighborhood with burqas and all of that stuff. Me as a Christian, when I'm encountering other people who are of a different religion, when I'm talking to people and when I'm interacting with these people, I'm not thinking, oh, my precious country, oh, they letting all of these immigrants in, they're gonna destroy my country. I'm like, no, this is a great opportunity to spread the gospel. And I've done that on quite a few occasions where I've run into, especially Muslims, and that they'll see me not engaging in certain acts or they'll just talk to me and I'll be like, man, there's something different about you. And they're just like, are you Christian? I'm like, yeah. And we'll just start having a conversation. Some of these conversations have been pretty candid. And I let them know how I feel about Islam. They let me know how I feel about the Bible. And there's been times where I had to tell some of these guys, hey, listen, well, majority of them, hey, I think that you really need to consider into looking into the real Jesus. Because I think there's a lot of things that you don't know about the Christian faith or about the Jesus that you claim that you believe in. And I've always kept it like that. But, again, when you start to have some of these talking points like Joel Webbon, it's like, are you really trying to advance the gospel? Or are you really just trying to build some type of subculture in Christianity? Because I definitely see it on the black side. And with this Christian nationalist thing, I definitely see it here. I definitely see it here. And that's why I think that it's important for us to have these conversations and to bring this stuff out.
I think you should be taking people's pets and eating them. And if it's duck season, go duck hunting. That's fine, but that's different than taking ducks out of the public park pond. But the bigger problem is not the pets. It's not the cats and the dogs and the ducks. The bigger problem is that in Haiti, they eat people. So importing the third world, particularly voodoo demon worshipping cannibals from the third world in mass, 5.9% of their entire population to America, designed intentionally because you want to utterly eradicate and drastically, significantly transform the populace and demographic of this country because you hate it and you want it to cease to exist, is a massive problem. And I do not apologize for saying so.
But when you say when you say,
yeah, but what is the response? What is your response as a professing Christian? That's the thing. What, to just round them all up and just send them back to where they came from? Yeah, that'll fix them. That'll save the country. Just send them back over there in their country where they could continue to keep doing all of these egregious things that are abominations against the Lord, according to what he's saying. Because if you feel that way, that these are the people that's practicing voodoo, they're practicing cannibalism, and you're importing them here to the country, what is your response? What's your response? You don't have a heart for these people's souls? How about start an outreach program, a Christian outreach program in that particular area? Or are you and your other Christian white Christian nationalist buddies just going to sit around inside of your garages drinking beer, complaining about these folks, wishing that one of them would cross you the wrong way to give you a reason to take one of these people out? Because that's the type of vibes that I'm getting from guys like Joel Webbon. There's a heart of Christ even within you. This man has not said anything about the gospel of Jesus Christ yet. Probably gonna only play a little bit more of this, and then we're gonna get ready to head up out of here. All right.
The statement about seeing somebody white or seeing someone in Hindu garb because you don't think that they're going to fight for this country.
Mhm.
And then I think I had the clip. I wasn't going to just run a whole bunch of clips or whatever, but you kind of equated
The DEI doctor clip. You got that one probably.
I do have, which by the way was bad. I'm going to say, Joel, that was bad, Joel.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
Okay,
I don't apologize. We'll get to it if you have time. I'd love to get.
So
to that one.
what's the difference between seeing somebody white versus, let's say, seeing somebody black, or somebody Hindu, or somebody Asian?
Well, the Hindu. So that's that question is a little bit. It's a little bit mixed because there's multiple factors going on. But if we could just start with seeing somebody white who's wearing a baseball cap with his two kids, pushing a stroller and walking the dog, with his wife and doing a walk in the neighborhood, versus seeing someone who's Hindu and is wearing religious dress. The difference there is religion. That's the difference. And I don't know if the white family is Christian. And I certainly don't know if they're truly regenerate, as we've been talking about this whole discussion, if they're truly Christian. But there is something to be said for Christian culture. And I do think that.
Now, here's the thing. This is where Joel Webbon is ignorant. Because I have a brother in the faith, who moved to India. Man, it had to be, I want to say maybe between 10 and 15 years ago. Actually, no, it had to be more than 10 years ago because I've been knowing him about 9. But about 15 years ago, he moved to India. And he got, he married an Indian woman. I'm talking about this lady is like Indian. But if you see her, now she's a Christian, professing Christian. If you see her and the way that she dressed, she would look like a quote unquote Hindu woman. Because whenever she whenever they're here in America, she has the head covering and, she dressed like a woman from India. And that's just the way that women dress over there in India, majority of them. So when he's talking about, they're walking around looking like Hindus, it's like, okay, so what is Hindu garb? What does that look like? Because if you see this woman out in the street, this woman is a professing Christian. Just like I've run into other people who are Hindu and they dress a certain way, just like Muslims. I know certain Muslims. Well, I won't say Muslims. I would say Arabs or people from the Middle East. You would think that they were Muslims, especially the women, because they still wear their head covering and all of that stuff. You would think that those women are Muslim. But they're professing Christian. So for him to have this stereotype like, oh, well, they're walking around in their religious garb. And then it goes back to my question. Do you not have a heart to give these people the gospel? Or do you just wish that these folks they'll just go back to where they came from? Grace and peace, K-Dub from All Things Theology. And listen, as you guys come in, please hit that like button and hit that notifications bell, no matter where you guys are watching from. And yes, this is live. Helping out with the algorithms. All right, let's try to play a couple more minutes of this, and then we're gonna wrap this up.
That matters. Symbols matter. Culture matters. Pretense, even pretense, which can be a problem. At the same time, there is a benefit and a blessing to pretense. I think it was Chesterton who said that. He said hypocrisy is virtue, or rather, he said hypocrisy is vice's tip of the hat to virtue, meaning that as bad as hypocrisy is, there actually is something worse. And what's worse than hypocrisy is coming to such a degenerate state as a nation and as a culture and society to where people don't even bother to take the time to perform hypocrisy anymore because there's no nothing to gain by doing it. You don't even pretend to be virtuous. Vice no longer even tips the hat to virtue because there's no benefit in doing so. You're just blatantly, obviously, publicly wicked and evil. And so, I think of the coronation with King Charles. There was a lot of backlash, and I get it. England is not. It's like England, a Christian nation. Give me a break. What a joke. And I totally get it, and that's true. That is objectively true. That it is a joke at this point. And yet, at the same time, there is still something to be said for the pomp and circumstance, for the rituals, and even if they're false, for even in the United States, the fact that is Joe Biden a Christian? Well, we don't see the heart, but at the same time, Jesus says we can know a tree by its fruit. If I had to guess, I said, no way, that dude's a Christian. No, I don't think he's a Christian. And yet, there's still something to be said with 46 presidents now throughout the history of our nation. We have not had one president who did not at least profess to be a Christian. And I do not look forward to the day when Pandora's box is open. I remember when, Vivek, during the primaries, you had Ron DeSantis and you had other guys, and I liked DeSantis. I'm going to vote for Trump because he's our candidate. He's the best we got. I don't think he's righteous, but he's the best we got. It beats communism, but I liked DeSantis. Vivek, I like his rhetoric. I even, my personal opinion, I think he could be a good, what is it? Jim Psaki. Yeah, press secretary. I think he could do that well. Just using his rhetoric and mopping the floor with liberals all day long. I'd love to see him in that role. But I don't. I didn't want him as a president of the United States because even though I know he embodies a lot of Christian virtues more than Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi, who both profess to be Christians, Catholic, to be specific, Vivek is. I know he went to a Christian school, Catholic school growing up, but he's Hindu. I don't want America to be Hindu. It's 3 million gods.
Religion?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So I am not for white heritage. I'm for American heritage. And American heritage is not exclusively white. That's not our heritage.
But could
it includes Black people. It includes, there's a whole host of different ethnicities that are included in American heritage. But that's very different than taking Indian people and importing them by the millions.
Yeah, and see, and you got to be careful with a guy like Joel Webbon when he's talking about this quote unquote American heritage. All right, it's like, oh yeah, Black people, this, yeah, they're part of the American heritage. Because when you start to see some of the rhetoric that I've seen, shout out to K-Dub and Rick Caldwell and Vocab, they did a live on this. But when you start to see some of the rhetoric that these guys are posting on like X and their social media pages, it's almost like there's a hierarchy. The white people are at the top, and then the Black people are here because, they were here as slaves, so they kind of been here the second longest. And then you start to have, kind of like this tier system, to where it just kind of like goes down. But, the white people, they're going to be on the top. Those are the ones that's supposed to be bringing back, or bringing, the United States back to this quote unquote Christian nation. They want to reinstill some of the quote unquote Christian values of this country. But it has to be done with the white people. The white people have to be the ones on top to bring it in. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I'm really careful when he's just like, oh yeah, Black people, they gonna be there too. No, they're part of American culture too. But what people like him won't tell you is that they don't want to see a Black person who's dark as me and holds to some of the sentiments that I hold to be in a position of power. No. Hold on. You gotta know your place. You gotta know your place. You can't get up here. You can get close to being up here, but you gotta remember, it's us. That's the dangers of Christian nationalism.
In 2024, that's not Heritage America. And it's not because of a shade of darkness on a scale of pigment. You, Corey, would be darker than a lot of Indian people. And I'm glad you're here. You're my brother in Christ, first and foremost. And you're my American brother as a citizen. You, as far as I know, are a part of Heritage America. You can probably trace your family lines here in America further back than I can. God bless it. I'm glad you're here. And if you were my neighbor and we're walking down the street, so replace the white family in that example, and it's Corey Minor and his family, there's my neighbor. He's in my neighborhood. If
so
things
then it
get
could be this,
rough
Joel.
and Antifa comes down the block, in the middle, I'm glad that Corey's across the street, because we're going to go, we'll get the ARs and we'll go hand in hand and we'll try to, stand our ground. That's the point. The point's not about whiteness, but the point is about, first and foremost, religion, Christianity, and then second, nationality, not ethnicity, but national citizenship.
I think you make my point, but you're not hearing it, because I would leave the ethnicity of the people alone and go back to what I was always saying, because these people, these Hindus or whomever it is, that's a field for you to go plant a seed and attempt to harvest. Just say it that way versus leaving here's how it comes across. Here's how it comes across, Joel.
Okay.
There are too many Mexicans. There's too many Hindus. There's too many this. There's too many that. There's not enough. And do I believe
Can I say real quick, Corey?
Go ahead.
For the record, there are too many Mexicans. And what do I mean by that? I mean, not Hispanics, not heritage Americans who immigrated from Mexico 150 years ago, who are more cowboy than a lot of white Texans are.
I mean, those that want to actually be Mexicans in America.
But I'm talking about people who literally have their citizenship in Mexico and have crossed the border illegally by the million. There are too many Mexicans. Now, listen, I think we should be allowed to say that. We should be allowed to say that's not racist.
So what I'm saying is, what I said earlier, maybe one issue is your branding, your PR has got to be better, because the way it comes across, if it comes across the way you intended, you would have to come back and re-explain it in many cases. Not to the other side. There's something going to take you what you say left, no matter what.
Right. That's true.
And we said this before here. Me as a black person, I don't want to see someone here with another nation's flag. This is America.
Amen. That's right.
Just like I can't go to another country and proudly represent America there. I would end up dead. I get that, but it comes across as though you're looking at their skin color, because the person in Hindu garb might be a Christian wearing Hindu garb, someone who looks this way. And so what your concern ought to be, or maybe you didn't say it this way, is that it should not be the color of that person. I'm concerned with these people holding Christian values. What you seem to espouse was someone holding American values. Well, wait a second. I thought we were trying to get to a Christian nation, not just our traditional American nation, because our American nation is fraught with all kinds of issues. We want folks whose hearts have been changed. So,
yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and stop it right there. All right. Shout out to Corey. Let me go ahead and give Corey a horn for that interview with Joel Webbon. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this and I am going to post it in the chat. And you guys can go and watch that whole interview. It was a great interview. All right, so you guys go and watch that. And like I said, shout out to Corey for having Joel Webbon on. All right, we're gonna get ready to get up out of here in a minute, but I want to say this. I love America. All right. I know that's going to be beef for some of y'all. I love America. I am a patriot. I think that we're the greatest. We're the greatest nation on the planet. Now, I was just talking with the family about that the other night. I believe that America is the greatest nation on the planet, because if there's a greater nation, I'll be moving there. Or, if the Lord put it on my heart, I will ask that the Lord raise me up to be able to get the gospel out to this not so great nation, But if we're looking at statistically, opportunity wise, America is the greatest nation on the planet. All right. If an enemy outside of this country decided to invade this country, I would not hesitate to pick up arms and to defend this country, because all of my family lives here. I got kids that are here. My ancestors have been here. This is all I know. But my citizenship, it's because I got United States citizenship, and I've been blessed. Trust me, I've been blessed to have American citizenship. I've been open. I've had so many opportunities come my way. I mean, just being here on YouTube and being able to do this stream and have you guys watching, this is a great opportunity that a lot of people don't get in other countries. Having lights at this time of the night, it's not normal for a lot of other countries. I'm blessed. However, my citizenship, my permanent residence is in heaven. That's what I look forward to. That's what we all should be looking forward to. I want to be one of the ones that on the day of the Lord, when he returns, that he looks at and he says, when the Lord returns, he says, "Good job, faithful servant. You've endured to the end, you've ran a race, and you've done what I've commanded you to do." It was to go out and spread the gospel, and to advance the kingdom of the Lord. You've done that. This is why I don't play Christian identity politics. I don't do it. You know how many black folks done got mad at me and done called me coons and Uncle Toms and they done snatched my black card? Because I'm not going to play the whole Christian identity politics thing. I'm not going to try to elevate my blackness up to, to like the standard of the Bible to say that, well, with me being black, God chose me to be black. And so therefore I need to try to preach this black gospel. No. I don't need to do any of that. I'm here to preach the gospel in season and out of season. I done made black folks mad. I done made white folks mad. I done made Hispanics mad. I done made other Calvinists mad. I done made Pentecostals. That's just how it is. And the reason why some people don't like me or they've gotten upset with me is because I hold them to the standard of the text. What saith the Lord? What does the Bible say? You want to talk about building this nation to be like some Christian nation? Oh, we got to restore this nation to be a Christian nation. Listen, the Lord is sovereign. You think that the Lord is surprised at what's going on here in America? How many of y'all think that the Lord is just so surprised that all of this stuff is happening in America with the transgenderism and the surgery with the kids and all of that? The Lord is still working. He's still sitting on the throne. And right now, I believe that the Lord still has a hedge of protection over this country and over a lot of us. And I believe that the reason why the Lord continues to bless this country is because that he's protecting us. He's protecting us because he's called us to go out and keep his commandments and to go out and to spread the gospel and to bring others into the faith. I think I told this maybe about a week or two ago where my sister, just a few months ago, well, actually last month, she gave me the best birthday present that I've had in a long time. Well, actually, it's the best birthday present I've ever had. She called me on my birthday, August 5th. You know what I'm saying? And called to tell me that she got saved. Best birthday present ever. Last year this time, my sister was a Universalist. You could not get her to step foot in the church. You could not get her to accept Jesus as her Lord and Savior. I had been talking to her. My wife and I, we had been talking, pleading with her. I still loved her, still called her, still checked up on her. And now my sister has submitted her life to Christ. God pulled me out of the fire as well, roughly 20 years ago. Pulled me out of the fire. I kind of had the same mindset as my sister. But I wasn't like, anti-Christ or anything like that. I just believed that we all had a way to heaven. I can't really sit back and say nothing about the Hindu and the Muslim and the this, that, and the third. But the Lord pulled me out of the fire. He removed the scale off of my eyes. And he told me, and I'm not trying to get all mystical. I don't want y'all to think that I'm starting to get all mystical, but through his word, he revealed to me what he revealed to Peter when he was face to face with Peter. Do you love me? Yes, Lord, I love you. Go and feed my sheep. Go and feed my sheep. You know? So this isn't about your ethnicity. This isn't about trying to preserve a culture. Because when on the day of the Lord, when he cleanses this earth of all sin and unrighteousness, none of that's going to matter. You're going to spend the rest of your life trying to push a subculture in the Christian faith to do what? To do what? To potentially say, or to hear the Lord say, depart from me, I never knew you, you workers of iniquity. But Lord, I wrote books about the black church in your name, and I wore the Christian Nationalist name in your name. I had that title, Christian Nationalist, in your name, and I was telling people about the rich history of the American people and the rich history of the black people. He's going to say, depart from me, I never knew you. What matters is how well you follow Christ's commandment to disciple your family, to disciple those around you, preach the gospel in season, out of season, love your neighbor as yourself. These are the things that we have been commanded by the Lord, you know? And these are the things that we just need to continue to remind ourselves as Christians. Listen, man, don't get caught up in all of that stuff. Yeah, it's the politics are starting to heat up here in America. You got Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. We all got our own opinions. We all got our own feelings about each candidate and the climate of this country. Stay focused. Stay laser focused on the word of God. Keep that word close to your heart. Study. Examine yourself daily. Because that's the only thing that is going to matter in the end. All right, listen, man. I'm getting ready to get up out of here. Thank you guys. Showing up to the live stream. You know, I just wanted to cover this topic. You know, like I said, shout out to Corey Minor. And listen, if you guys have not done so, go and watch that. Go and watch that interview. That was a great interview. And listen, if you guys haven't done so yet, man, listen, hit that like button. Hit the like button. You know? But listen. Love all you guys. All right? I love all you guys. And y'all continue to pray for me. And listen, pray for Joel Webbon as well. Pray for those people who are caught up in this. Just like I've asked you guys to pray for those who's caught up in the woke church. Pray for people like Joel Webbon. I mean, seriously pray. Seriously pray for that guy and those people, because they are lost. And if they don't repent, they're going to end up in the lake of fire where they're putting everyone else. All right. But anyway, like this video, rate it, share it, subscribe, hit that notifications bell if you haven't done so yet. So whenever I get ready to go live, you guys will be right here at the beginning of the live stream. And with that, you guys enjoy the rest of your night. And I will see you guys next time, Lord willing. Peace.